Hello and welcome back to 1874. It's time for a special show with French football expert Johnathan Johnson in association with Match Bingo. If you head to 1874.io/match bingo, you'll be able to buy yourself some bingo cards around all the sport that's going on at the moment. You can put on as little as £2 and give yourself a chance of winning between £25 and £250 simply by playing bingo and getting lines and doing all the things, getting a full house, doing all the things that you would do if you went to the bingo, but sports related. So it really helps us as a channel if you sign up. So if you fancy a bit of that, if you could do that for us, we'd all really, really appreciate it. Johnathan, brilliant to have you back on and brilliant to be able to talk about someone that's joining the football club as well. As I mentioned, you are a French football expert, an Aston Villa fan, as everybody knows as well. And we get today to talk about EVANN. Oh, I've said it wrong. I knew I was going to do that. EVANN Guessands is my best French accent to do. Is that anywhere near being right?
Yeah, that's not bad actually. It's fairly accurate, especially not sort of over pronouncing the D at the end.
And you give me you do it for me.
Evan Guesson.
Oh, it's so good. So good. So much better than my effort. How excited are you about this signing? Came a little bit from nowhere on Tuesday. Have you seen quite a lot of him?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, very excited to see a player coming from France to the Villa. Second time this summer actually as well with big old Marco in goal as well. So I
Yeah.
think this one for me is fascinating because I know a number of clubs have been linked with him throughout the summer, and to be honest, even back in the winter window, I know a lot of sort of Villa's Premier League rivals were keeping tabs on him. So for Villa to win the race, was unexpected to say the least. But I think as well this summer, Villa fans unfortunately have had to sort of become accustomed to the idea of Villa not doing too much business and looking to do smart business. And to be honest, looking at the supposed price tag or the reported price tag, also the fairly lengthy contract. I think it does qualify as intelligent business from Villa. So for me, I think this one has the makings of probably one of the more intriguing summer transfer signings anywhere in the Premier League. I think one that sort of I think will probably allay some concerns that some Villa fans had that maybe the team was looking a little bit too light in attack coming into the new season.
What will he bring us? I was speaking to Kev Hatchard on Talksport the other night, and he said Villa fans should be really, really excited by this signing. He got 12 goals and 8 assists, I think it was last season in League One. I believe he's going to fill a problem position on the right hand side. That's where he played most of his football last season. I think there's been a few ill-informed articles in various places saying that he's coming in to play up top. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he might be able to facilitate and play up top if Villa need him to, if Ollie Watkins isn't picked or isn't available for whatever reason. But this is a player who did some brilliant work on the right-hand side last season for Nice.
Yeah, I think the temptation would be to try and put him into sort of one of those traditional boxes, like, is he an out and out number nine? Is he a winger? He's not really either of those, sort of two things. And I think when you tell people that, they're like, well, surely he must be sort of some variation of a number 10. Then it's not even necessarily, that. I think he excels really, as being part of a front two and playing as sort of the second striker in that front two. So I wouldn't qualify him as a focal point of the attack. I think if he's asked to play there, obviously he can play that role. But ordinarily, the sort of position that he kind of thrives in most is playing as that second striker, utilizing his pace. He's unexpectedly quite decent aerially as well and manages to get a few goals with his head, which I think will come in handy for Villa as well. But he does like to spend a lot of time sort of gravitating towards that right side, looking to exploit those pockets of space, looking to use his pace to get in behind defences. And I think that will be really, really important for Villa in order to unlock many teams this coming season. And I think you look at sort of his career trajectory the last couple of years, had a loan spell with Nantes, and then came back and was asked to play a bigger role than maybe was expected with Nice, given a number of injuries to some of their other attacking players, notably Terem Moffi, who's sort of now returned to fitness and what we expected to be the number one striker now that he's moved on or is moving on. But it is, I think this is, in my opinion, it's definitely a move, that brings in a player who has quite a few sort of complementary, skill sets that, certainly when we're keeping in mind that Ollie Watkins is going to be the number one, striking option this season, I think it, could work very well indeed. The two of them.
Hearing you talk feels a little bit, maybe could he play like a Diaby role? Is it almost a Diaby replacement a year later? The stuff that I know, he's a bigger frame, he's a more powerful guy, equally as direct, but it just kind of felt like, from what you're saying, it's almost a Moussa Diaby replacement.
I mean, I think there's certainly elements of his game that he shares with Diaby. Like I said, being able to exploit those pockets of space. I don't think we'll be sort of seeing him potentially able to sort of shuttle up and down the right side completely, but I do think he does share some of those traits. And also assuming at this point in time when there's still a lot of business that can and will still be done, if Leon Bailey was to sort of move on in the final few weeks of the transfer window, I think obviously this kind of position doesn't this kind of move doesn't leave Villa too light in terms of those kind of wide positions as well. So I definitely think there's an element of that, maybe trying to combine sort of two, maybe even sort of three players into one. So I do think that again backs up this idea that Villa are doing a fairly smart piece of business there.
Yeah, I think it feels a bit cheaper than it should be. I will say, obviously, he's an Ivory Coast international as well. I just feel it is a problem position, that right hand side for Villa last season. Bailey didn't have a good season, and he was really the only player that could hold that width. They've obviously got Marlon now as well, who didn't really get a chance in the second half season, has done well there in pre-season. So suddenly, again, we've got all these different players that can play in different positions, which will help facilitate the squad and help with squad building, the multifunctional play. Like, with so many in the attacking positions now, can just play in lots of different places, which is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll be a major plus for Unai Emery coming into the season. Obviously, to have someone like Marlon as well, who's got massive motivation from the disappointment of the second half of last season that he'll be playing on as well. I do think that it bodes well for Villa in terms of the numbers and also the sort of quality of the depth that we have in certain positions. And I think as well ahead, once he's through the door, there is that possibility to move on Bailey in the final few weeks of the transfer window, as many people have been expecting pretty much all summer. And if that was to happen, I think it seems like Villa are pretty well stocked, still on that problematic right hand side, and you would assume that sort of Cash, when he plays, will continue to bomb forward. But like you said, it's about having that kind of fixed presence, and because Guesson is very much an attacking presence and is more likely to sort of gravitate more towards a more central role while playing on the fixed right hand side position. I think he's definitely going to bring that kind of attacking emphasis that has been needed on the right hand side for some time.
What is it that you like about him? What is it about his game that excites you?
There's lots of things that I like about him and that I like about this deal. Like you said, I do think it does feel a little bit on the cheap side, given the prices that were being bandied around, especially in the winter window. When he was being linked with a number of other clubs. I think the price, the deal that Villa have managed to negotiate, just reflects how difficult the situation is financially for French football clubs at this moment in time. And I think it's smart of Villa to sort of identify that market and go in and exploit it. I do think that he brings that sort of element of excitement, especially sort of given his profile, still relatively young. He's got time to develop, already a senior international. For me as well, to see Villa boosting their French contingent is always going to be something that pleases me. But I think he brings a goal threat who, certainly since he returned to Nice from his loan spell with Nantes, feels like he's been performing with the kind of consistency that you wouldn't necessarily have been able to guarantee with some of the other players that the Villa might have tried to bring back for this season. I'm talking about the likes of Asensio, the likes of Rashford. Obviously, on their day, there's a fairly substantial difference. In terms of the output, but I think Guesson has performed with enough consistency in France over the last couple of years to suggest that once he makes that move to the Premier League, it's going to be a challenge for him to raise his level again. But he certainly looks like he has the potential to be able to do so. And, there's less financial risk attached to it for Villa than had they sort of actioned, Rashford's purchase clause, for example, or tried to strike a deal for Asensio, given the money it would have taken to agree a transfer fee, and also the money it would have taken, to agree personal terms as well. So I think ultimately, once those two options were kind of ruled out after the end of last season, and obviously the failure to re-qualify for the Champions League, I think Villa have rebounded and done a very intelligent bit of business there.
With attacking players, people always want to know, like, is he going to beat a man with sheer pace? Is he going to beat a man with power? Is he going to beat them with skills and trickery? What, out of all those things, which is the one that Guessan is going to do?
I mean, I think the best way to sort of look at sort of how he likes to beat his man is he likes to sort of steal in behind them. So it's not necessarily is he going to sort of dazzle them? Is he going to dribble his way around them? It's that he'll sort of use the pace and the timing that he's been developing over the last couple of years, to pop up in a position where the opponents are not expecting to see him, and that pace that he has obviously enables him to get in behind. But like I said, there's some other surprising elements to his game as well. I mean, obviously you see his build, so that he does have fairly decent height, but he does like to put himself about aerially, and he has scored some goals with his head as well, which I think is nice for Villa, because it gives you that little bit of variety, and I think you're not sort of relying on him to be just one sort of kind of recognized archetypal type of striker. He brings a lot of different elements to his game. So I don't think it's necessarily just about sort of how he's going to beat his man or anything like that. I think it's you're looking for the intelligent timing of his runs, and the way that he utilizes his pace to great effect. And I think that's something that should really excite Villa fans.
His hero is Didier Drogba as well, isn't it? I think there was that photo that went viral in France or in Ivory Coast of him and Didier Drogba. He speaks very highly of him and his game, doesn't he?
Yeah, obviously, and Drogba is somebody who spent a fair amount of his early years of his career in France, and then obviously excelled for club and country, and then Guessan, being a senior Ivory Coast international, I think it's natural that there'll be some sort of element of looking up to Didier Drogba, and sort of when you sort of hero worship somebody like Drogba when you're younger, obviously a lot of the time spent watching him play, he'd have been playing in the Premier League with Chelsea, so I think Guessan will be very familiar sort of with the Premier League and sort of how it's developed over the last couple of years, and how Villa have sort of roared back into contention after some lean years.
Is he a player that can come straight in? Do you think he's going to be one that would be introduced slowly and Villa would want him to acclimatise first, introduce him from the bench? Or is this someone that you think is ready to hit the ground running immediately?
I think in terms of his potential impact on the pitch, I think he would be sort of raring to go fairly immediately. So it would surprise me if Villa don't try sort of bedding him in as quickly as possible. I think for the rest, it's going to depend on how he fits in in terms of the culture that's being developed at Villa at this moment in time. If he sort of finds some familiar faces, and is obviously able to settle in, because you've got a number of French speakers who are sort of in the dressing room at the moment and sound like they're going to be in the dressing room for a fairly substantial amount of time, given some of the speculation about Bukadin extending his contract.
Yeah.
We've already seen Boubacar Kamara as well extending. So, to keep that kind of French core of the squad intact, I think is great, especially when you're, looking to welcome in somebody who, is representing a fairly significant outlay, given that Villa haven't really spent anything so far this summer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if is that the end of the attacking movement for Villa? Will another attacker come in at some point? I think they probably will on the other side, but it does feel now that the right hand side is sorted, which is a big thing, because I think it was one of the big concerns for Villa fans going into the start of the season that we hadn't really addressed that side.
Yeah, but I think given the way that the second half of last season went, There were some sort of elements of the unknown as well. I don't think we've really seen Marlon sort of able to sort of stretch his legs. So obviously bringing in a profile like this does, completely sort of reshape the options on the right. But like you said, we've seen a little bit of Marlon there, so far in pre-season. We've sort of seen what he's able to do as well, certainly at Champions League level with Borussia Dortmund over the last couple of years. So it is kind of almost like having two new signings, not just one new signing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. Obviously, he'll probably be in for that first game again. Well, I hope he's in for that first game against Newcastle. I think there was a danger of starting the season without any real refresh anywhere, other than obviously backup goalkeeper. I think he probably a signing that galvanises the fan base a little bit as well, isn't it? Because it has been a tough summer, and when transfer windows are open, fans want signings, and it didn't look like Villa were going to really be doing anything until the end of the window. So to get this almost come from nowhere, and the fact that he's a quality player as well, and lots of teams have looked at him for the price point as well. This is a boost to Villa and the Villa fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, something else that I would say is that I think, Villa fans should also remember sort of what the uncertainty was like, certainly in the days following, that disappointing result at Old Trafford a couple of months ago, and sort of, how people were feeling about, the squad potentially sort of being ripped up and, picked apart. I think the fact that the main crux of the squad has been kind of kept together. I think that's something that should really please Villa fans and give fans cause for optimism ahead of the new season, because keeping that group together, I think was absolutely critical after dropping down into the Europa League at the last possible minute, and I think also that familiarity that comes with keeping a quality group of players together could really bode well for this season, in terms of sort of trying to get back into contention for qualifying for the Champions League, but also trying to go on a meaningful and deep run in the Europa League as well, especially under a manager who is an absolute expert when it comes to success at that level.
Yeah, definitely going to do some shows on the Europa League and how it should be a big priority for Villa this season. It kills two birds with one stone, gets the trophy, and also gets Champions League football again. So it's a massive priority for me heading into the new season. Johnathan, it's always an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel. Thank you very much for giving us the lowdown on EVANN Guessands. I've missed the first name. The second name is the bit you should get wrong. I seem to be getting the first name wrong, which is a bit weird. But Johnathan, mate, thank you ever so much for coming on.
No, thanks a lot for having me. It's always a pleasure. And fingers crossed that there might be one or two other bits of business, and we can get together before the end of the transfer window.
Ooh, that felt like a bit of a ITK tease there, that did, Johnathan. It felt like something's coming up. So yeah, if there is, we will definitely get you back on. Keep your eye on the channel. There's been loads of content out over the last week or so, and there's plenty coming up as well. If you subscribe with your post notifications on, you'll know exactly when the content is coming out on the channel, because it tells you. If you're trying to get those subscriber numbers up, we're so close to 28,000 subscribers. So if you are watching this and you're not subscribed on YouTube, please do that for me. If you could sign up for Match Bingo as well, that would be really appreciated. If you're listening via audio, give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple, and leave us a nice review and comment as well if that's your thing. Thank you very much to Johnathan again. More service, that doesn't make sense. More content coming up in the next few days. But as ever, we'll end with an Up the Villa. So an Up the Villa from me and an Up the Villa from Johnathan.